Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Two Lukes. We are excited to be here. If you can, if you're listening to this, maybe click the subscribe button on YouTube. We'd love that. Give this video a like, comment if you want, but we really appreciate when you guys do that. Without further ado, we're going to jump right in.
Absolutely, we got a lot to cover.
The first one, we're going to start with our video game. If you don't remember, you're just tuning in for the first time, we are playing video games. We're playing Game Pass on PC, so Xbox on PC, and we're randomly playing a game every month. So we've covered 12 Minutes and Rain on Your Parade so far, and this week our game is Slime Rancher.
Yes, Slime Rancher, a game that I was excited came up on this because one of the YouTubers that I do regularly watch did a little 30-minute video on this game a couple years ago. I think the game probably came out in 2017-ish.
Yeah.
So a couple years ago, they did a little video and it looked really interesting. So this is one that for years I was interested in playing. So now that we actually get a chance to do so, I was really looking forward to it.
So do you want to give your viewpoint of what Slime Rancher is?
You ranch slimes. I feel like when I get into my viewpoint, I'm going to get a lot into my feelings of the game and just open up Pandora's box.
I think we go for it. Yeah.
Essentially, you start off and you're told to go collect slime with a vacuum. So you collect them and put them in this pen that's been created for them, and then you kind of get introduced to a few more things like, oh, you can feed them, which creates this other stuff that you can buy upgrades and different things for. You can collect carrots and plant them and get more food. And it's just really tedious, and the controls weren't very easy for me, at least, to pick up and remember. And it was really just kind of a convoluted mess from everything I played.
So I'll be honest, I had no clue what I was doing. It took me 10 minutes to figure out how to do the very first thing that you were supposed to do. Then I figured out the little things on the map. So I, maybe a little shockingly, was sort of into this until I just got really confused. And I think you had to mine the little, I can't remember what they were called, the little pink diamonds and then the blue diamonds. But I got so far away from my home base where you had to mine those, I couldn't figure out how to get back there. So I was just kind of running around like crazy, collecting these slimes. There were different colors. There were mean ones. I died once, which was crazy. But yeah, at first I thought, oh, this is going to be another mindless game like Rain on Your Parade. But it really wasn't. It was way more in depth. Now, this is one where honestly I would maybe play it a little more, but I also need to figure out what the point of the game is first.
Right. They had the starting area, and I think my biggest complaint was they tried to teach you every control all at once.
Right.
I feel like it should have been slowly integrated, because our goal is always to play an hour of these games to get a good feel for them. So the first time I played for about 40 minutes, which was basically enough for me to get used to the controls.
Right.
So then when I went back and sat down to play it, I was like, okay, I need to play for at least 20 minutes. It took me 20 minutes to remember what all those controls were. So I think you actually made it further in the game than I did, just because I was trying to relearn it the second time I played it.
Yeah, I mean, again, my issue was once I figured out how to go places and cycle through, so you have 4 jars that you can keep the same thing in, but you can only put the same thing in there. So there's pink slime, there was a chicken that I picked up, there's the jewels that give you cash, there's carrots, there's other foods, but you only have 4 spots. So then when I got 2 different colors, and then I think later on in the game a 3rd color of jewel, I was trying to collect all those, but then I couldn't collect anything else because I had 3 of the containers filled up, and then I couldn't figure out how to, again, cash them in because I didn't know where the beginning was. So I think the game has potential for sure, but I just got a little lost. And this is one where maybe the hour, I guess, leaves me wanting a little bit more. because an hour I don't think is enough time to figure out Slime Rancher.
Yeah, for an hour, I learned the controls. I didn't really get to dig into the game. So I feel like as far as I know, we typically grade these.
Yeah.
The grading for potential and the grading for the idea of the game, I feel like is a lot higher than the grade for my personal experience with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what my grades were on the other ones or what my scale was. I mean, to me, this is just an average. So right now for me, kind of the same thing. Like maybe if I played this for 2 or 3 more hours, my grade would change. But right now it's probably just a 5.
See, I think I'm going to go with a 3 because I learned the controls. Now, if I got the controls and I could jump right in and I knew what I was doing, I could see it being like a 6.
Yeah.
Easy, but for me, my personal experience, what I got to enjoy or not enjoy, there's just no way to grade it higher than a 3.
Yeah, I'd say potential there. Maybe we come back to it.
I haven't deleted it yet.
Yes,
So.
yeah, that's the big thing. Next week, we already have our game. It is called Bridge Connector. Is that what it is?
Bridge Connector, Bridge Construction.
Yeah, it's
possibly.
one of the 2.
Bridge Construction Portal.
Yes, Bridge Construction Portal. I think that's it. So that's our game next week. So if you want to play along, Bridge Construction Portal, a 4-minute download with good internet.
Yes.
It was like a 24-minute download for me, which is incredibly fast.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Most of these games are 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. So yes. So have some downloading right now. So really easy game to download if you're interested in playing that along with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And just based on what I saw, seems like it'll be a fun little track of something that wouldn't typically play. Once again, exactly what this is aimed for. So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. Speaking of video games, I had something that I saw that I'm incredibly excited about that I couldn't wait to share with you. So, March 4th, 2022.
Okay.
Gran Turismo 7 coming out. Gran Turismo, one of the first games I ever owned for PlayStation. My brother got Gran Turismo 2. I ended up getting Gran Turismo 3. I think I might have skipped 4, maybe had 4 as well, had 5. Love the Gran Turismo series. Are you familiar at all?
I know of the series. I know that so many people do love it, but car games have never been my thing.
Yeah.
I most of my life I've played on Nintendo, which doesn't really get those games.
Right.
So while it's something I am interested in playing, not something I've ever experienced before.
So the crazy thing about Gran Turismo is you start off, and I always do the difficult one. So you start off, and in the old game, it was just called the Sunday Cup. And it was like a 3-race series on 3 of their most popular tracks that they've had in every single game, that if you win it, you get like $1,000. So you have to buy, I can't remember how much money you start with. Now it's like astronomical, but the original game, you started off with like $5,000. You could buy a crappy car, and what I would do is buy the worst car and then like put some turbo in it, because that increased your horsepower, made you faster. And you had to go through and get licenses. So you'd get the B license, maybe CBA, and then like some elite license, and then later games you could get rally license. So you had to get the license to be able to race in certain races, and certain races only had muscle cars that you could use. So you'd have to go buy a muscle car. I just love the strategy and the racing to it. And it is incredibly challenging. Like, I don't know that I've ever gotten more than 30 or 40% complete with the game. Like, it's a really great game, and you could just play for days. Endurance races, they had endurance races that were legitimately hours long. So like growing up, I would play, maybe not all at once, but it was like a couple-hour race. So I'd play for 45 minutes, pause it, and go eat lunch or whatever, and then come back and play again. But they were legitimately several hours long. So
I'm actually very intrigued by that, because I typically think of a racing game, you just pick a car and you go race.
no,
I love games where you start off at the bottom and you incrementally improve and increase. You play the same track 50 times, but you've improved 50 times since you started. So it's always a different experience. So that's actually
I mean,
Got my
this
interest,
is,
yeah.
this is by far the best racing game I've ever played, and I think probably a testament to the reason that they're coming out with 7. I can't remember exactly, but this is the first one in 8 to 10 years. So pretty excited. It's already got some buzz. If you pre-order it, you get a few cars to start with. So this is one that I will more than likely be buying because it is coming out for PS4. So PS4, 5, and that may be it. I'm not
Game
sure.
Pass?
I don't think Game Pass. So I was excited to share that with you.
Oh, I had something that I was excited about in video games as well, but I don't think that it's probably something that interests you, but maybe our viewers will be interested. So you said March of 2022. Flashback to our first recording when we were talking about video game anniversaries.
Yeah.
March 28th of 2022 is the 20-year anniversary of Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Is this a series you're familiar with?
I am not.
Okay, so the main premise, have you ever heard of Final Fantasy?
Yes, of course.
So even people that don't play Final Fantasy know what it is.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts is Final Fantasy mixed with Disney.
Okay.
So you play a character named Sora, and your partners are Donald and Goofy. And then you travel, like the very first world, you go to Wonderland, and you have to save Alice from the Queen. And then you go and you team up with Tarzan. And so you go to all these different Disney worlds. It's a blast. One of my favorite series of all
Yeah,
time.
seems like something that actually sounds good.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Final Fantasy to me seems like, oh, nerdy gamers, even though I like Final Fantasy too. But I feel like this is something with the mixture with Disney anybody can get into. But the reason I bring up Kingdom Hearts is to talk about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Okay.
They just announced the very last character ever for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is going to be Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Nice.
And this is something that nobody ever thought would be possible. They actually did a poll a couple years ago, a fan poll of who do you want to see in the game? And Sora was number 1. They never released that information because they didn't want people like harassing the developers.
Right.
But Disney is very protective of their characters and things. So actually when Kingdom Hearts originally came out, the first one, Disney was afraid it would flop. So therefore they allowed them to use the Mickey Mouse voice, but they never actually were allowed to show him on screen. I think they did in the second one, but for the first one, they're afraid, hey, if this flops, we don't want Mickey, our main guy, attached to this project. So the fact that Nintendo was able to get a Disney character into Super Smash Brothers is just ridiculous, something I never thought I would see.
Yeah, that is wild. I great background because I knew nothing about that, and it actually seems fairly interesting. I mean, I would give that a shot. So Kingdom Hearts not being remade, but the main character from Kingdom Hearts will be available in March next year in the Super Smash.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just trying to give you a little backstory.
No, that's great.
They are re-releasing the Kingdom Hearts for the Switch.
Okay.
Well, not re-releasing, but bringing it to the Switch, the entire series, which is great because if you don't have a PlayStation for all of that, you can now get it on the Switch. They haven't announced a release date for that. I will probably play it again when it comes out on the Switch.
Very cool. And obviously stay tuned to March because it sounds like we got some good games that we'll be trying out. So yeah, very interesting. Something you brought up a couple of weeks ago just came out on Netflix, so very timely if you are watching this. Escape the Undertaker.
What a perfect thing for October, right?
Right.
Obviously, wrestling, The Undertaker, Supernatural, Dead Man. Always when you think of scary wrestling, you think of The Undertaker. So the fact that they created this interactive show on Netflix where you are the New Day basically not necessarily breaking into The Undertaker's house, trying to steal his urn, which gives him all of his power. Extremely creative, and props to whoever came up with this idea.
So I love this. I mean, I'm pretty far removed, not pretty far, but I'm removed from WWE, but obviously I know what's going on and I know these characters very well. Undertaker, of course. New Day, some of my favorite people, just because they are awesome and hilarious. And in this, 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, characters to the T, like perfect in every way. You did it first and you said you went predictable. So I tried to go a little wild when I did it.
Okay, good.
But I want to just jump in and see what you did and then what I did and see how it compares.
So the first thing I did was, so I went home on my lunch break, and since it was only 30 minutes, I thought, oh, I can just do this while I'm eating lunch and then get back to work. So it said it was only 2 minutes and 30 seconds. There's something wrong with this. So I grabbed the Apple TV remote, hit play, and it says, oh, this device is not supported for interactive movies. Of course, you have to either use a smart TV, a game console, basically they listed every option but Apple TV as what you could do. So I actually did this standing in my living room because I didn't want to sit down and get dog hair on my work clothes. So standing, eating, doing this interactive thing. So the first thing, you go up, you knock on the door, and I forget exactly how the door opens. It's been a week since I've done this and my memory is terrible, but you get in and you get 3 options right off the bat. So there's fog coming from downstairs, there are lights coming from a room over to the side, and then something going on upstairs. I don't remember what that was.
Yep.
And you have to choose which direction you're gonna go.
Yeah. So you went.
I went towards the lights because it seemed like the least scary option.
That's great. So backing up real quick, the first thing I thought when I watched it is, what the hell kind of house does Undertaker look like? Because this thing was great. And then the second thing was, I just kept imagining it happening in real life because the New Day is like, oh, take, where are you? Like just the most off the wall thing. So you went lights,
Yes.
And of course, that's what I was trying to think. I was like, what's the most dangerous? I went downstairs into the fog. So continue on.
Would not have gone there. So I went over to the lights, and basically it's just the urn is there. So I was Big E going to the lights, and the urn is there, and you get distracted looking around at all the memorabilia hanging around and stuff, and then Undertaker's throne's there. So Big E takes the time to go and sit on Undertaker's throne, at which time he gets trapped by some shackles on his wrists and his soul removed and put into the urn. And that's when you find out now you have to figure out how to get Big E's soul back.
So I love this because it's not anything alike. Big E does lose his soul still. So there's a quick flash to it, but I took Xavier Woods downstairs into the fog, and I think this is where it's at. And I'm sorry if I'm a little out of place and I ruined this for you, but there was a dead body downstairs.
Yes, there was.
And
I did experience this later on.
Okay, so maybe I'm out of here, but the name tag said Isaac Yankum, DDS,
Yes.
And I loved that.
That was my favorite thing of the whole experience.
Yeah, so love that. But I went down in the basement and
Sorry, I hate to cut you off, but for those who maybe aren't aware, in the wrestling world, Isaac Yankum DDS was the previous gimmick of Kane, who, once again, in the wrestling world, is Undertaker's brother.
yeah, so great callback. Like, wasn't ever mentioned, didn't go into detail, but just love that part. So went downstairs in the fog. I think I was trying to get into a door and I hear screaming, I think, upstairs. So I think I had to run back up there. And as soon as you do, like, Undertaker's head is there about to kill you, but I ran back upstairs, I think, to meet everybody again. So this is when I'm pretty sure I figured out that Big E had lost his soul and we had to make another plan.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this is the right time frame either, but I think my choices eventually were to like stay with the group or to like explore by myself.
Okay, so once Big E's soul was gone, everybody came back
Yes.
in and they found out, oh, hey, we need to find keys.
Right.
At that point, my choice was, okay, we need to either go down to the basement or upstairs to try and find the keys.
Oh yeah, you're right. So I went back downstairs.
You went back downstairs.
Yeah.
First, I went upstairs.
Okay.
So
what happens upstairs?
I went upstairs and there's a hallway, I believe, and then you eventually go in, it's like a library.
Okay.
You're in this library upstairs and really, I guess before you get in the library, there was a painting, and they really focused on this key that was in the painting, and it was being put in like an alligator's mouth. So I was like, hey, clue, ding, ding, ding. So you're in this library then, and Biggie opens a book, and it gives him, and there's like this potion in it, this like strength potion. It's like, do you take it or leave it? I went ahead and took it. I didn't know why, but I was like, why not? And then, so Biggie and Xavier decide to try and get up because they see this alligator, crocodile, whatever it was, and they had seen the picture of the key, at which time Kofi finds this staircase hidden in the library. And then you have a choice of, do you follow Kofi or do you stay and try and get this key? So I stayed to get the key. Kofi disappears, but we got the key, which was the important thing.
Yeah, so not surprisingly, I'm now remembering this as well, which in interactive things, a lot of it is going to be repetitive. You're going to do everything. So I do remember this. I actually stayed as well. So neither of us went through the hidden passageway.
We needed that key.
Exactly. Yeah. So
since you went downstairs first, I'm assuming you went upstairs after.
Yeah,
Was
I
that
think
the
so.
exact same experience?
yes. Yep. So downstairs is when the fog comes everywhere. They're terrified of the fog. This is where I think I stayed with the others and let Xavier go by himself, and he basically gets engulfed and taken. And then Biggie and Kofi like try to avoid the fog a little bit, and eventually we go back upstairs and then up to the top to basically do the inverse of what you just said.
Yeah, my downstairs experience was the same. After we went upstairs, we went down, and Xavier, Undertaker's about to attack him. We are not going to follow him, so
No.
he gets taken. So then you do a little hijinks with pushing the gurney and
Yep.
then climbing on the pipes, and so you got the second key.
Yeah. So we're in the same place there. So then you're back upstairs with the keys, and the options are to bust the urn open or something else, I think.
Yeah, memory's a little fuzzy, but I know one of them was to just bust it open, and the other one was to, I don't know, wait on something that was happening.
Of course, I just said bust the urn open.
I did not. I was waiting.
So when you bust the urn, I almost think, because Big E just goes nuts and does it. Like maybe that's where he lost his soul or something, but it didn't work. Like it shocked Big E, and he was like way out of it after that.
I'm actually drawing a blank. I don't remember what happened. I just know we eventually get sent to this battle with the Undertaker.
Yeah, so at that point, like the Undertaker says, to get the urn, you have to battle your deepest fears. So,
oh yes, I forgot about this.
So who would you pick on that?
I had been Big E already, so I stayed with Big E.
Yeah, I've been Xavier, so I stayed with Xavier.
So with Big E, you have a glass case around your head as Undertaker is putting spiders in it.
Nice.
Not good.
Yeah.
So Undertaker basically gives you the option. Either you continue to suffer or you agree to join him and the darkness, and he will let you free. So of course I chose the power of positivity and stayed all happy, which eventually got me out.
So I chose Xavier, who was buried alive in a coffin, and same thing. Undertaker says you can either be loyal to your friends and suffer, or you can join me on the dark side and battle your friends. And I said, Taker and Xavier versus Biggie and Kofi? Hell yeah. So I betrayed my friends. Of
Wonderful.
course. Yeah, just mostly because I figured you wouldn't. So then you go to the battle, essentially.
Yes.
And at this point, I end up betraying my friends, and then it sends me back to face your fears again. So I think I assumed at that point I just picked the wrong ending because you're not supposed to turn on your friend.
It forces you.
Yeah, so then I had to redo it. I didn't redo it, I stopped there. So would love to hear how.
Oh, you didn't even complete the.
Well, no, because I thought that I did complete it in my mind, and I just turned on the new day.
Okay, so in my experience, then you go to this workshop, Undertaker's like working on something or whatever, and he basically says, if you want the urn, you gotta go through me.
Right.
And so then you choose which person to attack with. I chose Big E again. He immediately gets thrown back and destroyed. Basically, it's just the Undertaker destroying you over and over and over again. You eventually get like a sledgehammer, and as Big E, I got the option of either he's going to destroy basically Xavier. I think it's Xavier he had. And you are either trying to take the urn and escape or destroy the urn to try and save Xavier. So I just choose to destroy the urn, at which point I pull out the power potion or whatever that I had taken earlier, drink that, pick up this sledgehammer, and completely destroy the urn.
So just to clarify, I did go into battle as well, and Undertaker was destroying Kofi because I was Xavier. He killed Biggie pretty quick, or not kill him, but
yeah.
So he was destroying Kofi, and then I was like saving Kofi, and then Undertaker looks at me and he said, "Xavier, now is the time," and then you betray Kofi.
Oh.
And then that's when I went back. So I did the battle as well, but I just killed my friends.
So after I destroyed the urn, I get my soul back, and like you all like pass out, then you wake up in coffins, to which you open and get out, and you're outside of the house.
Okay.
So then that's how you escaped, I guess, is he let you leave once you destroyed the urn.
So pretty fun little game.
And it's funny, at that point, you have the option of just like leaving or the option of face your fears. So I think it lets you go back and replay possibly the other.
So maybe maybe I had the option to leave there too, and I just left. So yeah, but I left alone.
So I survived, but I didn't get the urn. So basically everything we went through was pointless.
Yeah.
But I had such a fun time doing
it. For something so random too.
Yeah.
Like random that it's on Netflix, random that it's available, but a blast. So yeah, check that out if you've got 25, 30 minutes, because well worth it. I mean,
we may have just spoiled the entire experience for you, but maybe make a couple different decisions and see what happens.
Comical.
Maybe don't take the potion, try and steal the urn instead of destroying it. There are plenty of things.
And apparently beat Kofi the entire time, because we did not. Sticking with wrestling a little bit, right now the King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring tournament's going on. Very relevant again right now. I think first round matchups started this week.
Yes.
Don't want to talk about any of that necessarily, but want to talk about favorite King of the Ring memories or moments for you in the past.
So I've got a couple, maybe not moments from the King of the Ring, but I have one that was super important to me and one that I loved and then got screwed up. So I'll explain that a little bit here.
Yeah.
So the first one that I really cared about, King Booker. Because I loved Booker T growing up and from WCW and then into WWE, and he completely transformed himself into this King Booker gimmick with Queen Charmel. And the first pay-per-view I ever went to was a Great American Bash. The main event was King Booker versus Rey Mysterio. So I mean, King Booker to me stands out as ideal, like King of the Ring. I typically hate the gimmicks of, oh, now that I won King of the Ring, I'm going to be a king. I typically despise that. But in this instance, I think it worked to perfection. Loved it. And another one that was, I want to call it a missed opportunity, maybe. One of my favorite wrestlers growing up, and this is going to be silly, was William Regal.
Yeah.
Possibly one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time.
Yep.
I mean, currently he's down in NXT as a general manager. I know he trains. His daughter is a wrestler, like, not his daughter, wrong trainer. Anyway, he's just amazing. And anybody in the wrestling business will tell you how great William Regal is. And he won a King of the Ring late in his career.
And the long-haired Regal.
Yeah. See, I followed him so long ago. I remember the promos back when he was going to be a real man's man, and he had all the flannel and he had an axe chopping wood. I remember being made fun of by my family because they thought I didn't understand what a real man's man meant. And I think they had a little wrong idea on that one, but no, Regal, he won this King of the Ring, and maybe 2 weeks later, he got suspended for PEDs.
Right. Yeah.
And they kind of just dropped it. I don't know that his career ever really rebounded. But
Not as a wrestler.
But this felt like finally his break. Yeah, he's past his prime, but he's still so good. They're putting a rocket on him. They're going to do something with him. And then it fizzled out because of that suspension.
Right.
Just a major what if kind of moment to me.
Yeah. I remember the Romance Man very, very much so as well. So my King of the Ring moment, controversial, I'm sure, because I did this purposely. Not even part of the King of the Ring,
Okay.
but occurred at King of the Ring. I'm thinking 02, but I didn't fact check that. Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon.
Ooh, fantastic.
The street fight. I just remember this so vividly. Watching it was like, holy cow. And then afterwards, got for Christmas that year a book of, not a book of secrets, but like a behind the scenes thing.
Yeah.
To where Shane was talking, or Kurt Angle was talking about how when he threw Shane, the glass was supposed to be breakaway glass. It was like fiberglass, and he belly to bellies Shane, and he just falls smack on his head. And he's like, oh crap, like we got to go away from this. And Shane's like, you're going to put me through this. And then they do the same thing inside, and they're just covered in shards of fiberglass and bleeding everywhere. And eventually he does it like twice on the inside and then just throws him face first. So one of the craziest matches I think that I've ever seen, and that always sticks out to me on King of the Ring. Whenever I hear King of the Ring, I think of that. I always loved the tournament style. Made me think of, now stay with me, this is where I'm going to veer way off. Survivor Series, Deadly Game, the tournament in 99-ish, where they did it for the vacant title, right? Which I thought was really cool, and I love tournaments. But the rabbit hole I'm going to go down is how much I hate Survivor Series today because of how cool it was way back when. So Survivor Series today is just Team Raw versus Team SmackDown, and is the dumbest thing ever. Every champion on the show fight each other. It means nothing. Yeah, it is a complete waste. So I jotted down a couple of the historic, and I think they should go back to this immediately. The Survivor Series used to be the 4-on-4, 5-on-5, whichever it was. And it would just elimination matches, and it would continue feuds. Like, it wasn't doing anything crazy, but it continued feuds. So in 94, the Bad Guys, which had 1-2-3 Kid, Razor Ramon, British Bulldog, they fought a team of Diesel, Jeff Jarrett, Owen Hart, Shawn Michaels. So it was just continuing feuds in there that it was perfect, right? I mean, it's not the blow up, but it's just another part of the continued feud. The same year, it was Jerry Lawler and Doink were fighting. So it was the 4 Doinks versus Jerry Lawler and the 3 Royal members. Like, those were perfect segues and rivalries. 96, listen to this. The tag team scene, the Godwins and the Rougeaus. I said it earlier and I knew how to do it. Versus the Hart Foundation was just furthering that. And then listen to this: Jake the Snake Roberts, Mark Merrill, Rocky Maivia, and the Stalker, who I can't really remember off the top of my head, fought Crush, Goldust, Jerry Lawler, and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. So that was furthering like Rocky and Triple H, Mark Merrill, Goldust are fighting. Like, it was great, and they didn't have to make perfect sense, but it furthered feuds, and that's what Survivor Series was about. And I just get so mad at Survivor Series time now because it's just a waste. It is a wasted pay-per-view.
I'm not going to say a negative word against any of the takes you just had. The old Survivor Series format's great. That's why I really loved it. It was 1 year, maybe 2, they brought in a new pay-per-view not that many years ago called Bragging Rights.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay,
That's
perfect. That is Raw versus SmackDown. Whoever wins can brag. Keep Survivor Series classic way, the good way. I went to a Survivor Series. If you want to have a title match, okay, have a single title match.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Have a couple. I mean, that's fine.
But it shouldn't be one match of this elimination style. Like the Royal Rumble, there's one match a one match gimmick and the rest of it's regular. Okay, because
Yes.
you can't have 40 Royal Rumble. Now they have 2, which is plenty.
Right.
But Survivor Series, it's essentially just another paper.
Yeah.
I mean, they might as well call it SummerSlam 2.0. Like, there's nothing special about it unless they're doing those matches.
Survivor Series from the 90s is some of the best pay-per-views, in my opinion, that you'll ever come across.
Yeah, I won't argue at all.
So that's the rabbit hole I wanted to go down. I had to get that off my chest. Coming up on Survivor Series in a month or so, right?
Yeah, very soon, very soon.
All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode. We had a couple other things. We'll cram them in next week. I think we had some good conversations. So remember, next month we're playing Bridge Construction Portal as our game, and check out Escape the Undertaker. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and let us know if you try Escape the Undertaker, what happened in your match. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.